Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Good Morning Hospitality. My lovely co-host, Brandy Wil, and the wonderful founder of Breezeway, Jeremy Gall. Welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for letting us record at your booth and kind of take over. It's been amazing.
It's great. It's great to have you. It's exciting.
Everyone's looking at us funny. They're like taking pictures and walking by in front of cameras. It's really great. Like, it's been so much fun.
I know it's a little interesting because I'm hoping that it gets picked up.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of noise in here.
Oh, it is getting picked up. We have a great editing team. It's going to clear all of this up. Speaking of like being picked up, what are you guys seeing being picked up in the industry as you're talking to customers today that are coming to the Breezeway booth? Obviously, there's a ton of conversations around quality versus quantity, but like, what's the number one thing being picked up as a main topic in the industry right now?
Yeah, I think people are looking at how they can make their technology work a little better for them.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of interest with folks like, how do we consolidate our tech stack a little bit, simplify it, get a little more out of it?
Yeah.
Because they understand how important technology is to delivering on the guest experience.
Yeah, I can relate to that when you're like, okay, I have all these products, but do I really need all of them? Am I not using everything? And I think that like as a Breezeway customer, like sometimes we'll be like just discovering new parts of the system. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that we could do this. And so you guys have such a robust system that I think operators, if they're looking to kind of standardize things and really use their products to like their full potential, you guys really offer a way to kind of keep a lot of departments in one system.
It's true, but it is that happens a lot. I talk to people here, clients, and they say like, oh, so what's new? And so I say something that we do and they're like, oh, wow, like, I didn't even know you do that. Like, we really need to dig in. So.
Well, shout out to Robin Craig and Moving Mountains. My favorite quote, I probably say it every episode, is people $20 themselves to death, right? Where they buy a new software because it's a shiny toy, yet they're not fully utilizing their current stack to its fullest potential. Do you guys see a lot of Breezeway clients or customers coming in and like what Brandy said, I didn't know this was here. I can't believe I didn't know this. And now I'm going to go like use it and like maybe cut another piece of technology I don't need.
100%. And yeah, on one hand, it's like a little disappointing that they don't know we already do it, but it's exciting because their face lights up and they're like, oh, that's great. Like, I want to do that too. I was talking to Robin last night and it was really interesting. He's on a panel maybe right now talking about the future of technology and AI and sort of like his take was like, we shouldn't be talking about AI. We should be talking about like all the other little things that we still aren't doing well, that we can really do such a better job at before we even get to that.
That's huge. And not to steal the thunder really quick, but when it comes to AI, we were just talking to Annie, who is using your guys' Assist product, right? And so that's a human-based service and product that you guys have built in. Why did you go human-based? Why not go the AI route, fully potential with the Assist product?
Well, because I think with your guests, this is like, we're in the hospitality business and you can try to automate and sort of streamline a bunch of your operation. But in the end, you really need a human touch. And I think it's not something you want to risk just yet with not having a human answer those questions. And so the way that we think about it is like in your Breezeway account, there's so much property data, there's reservation data, there's guest data. So there's everything available to help answer that question. And AI can help surface that information, but having a human do it, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, I think that one of the components that, AI can be useful for instead of this, everybody has the focus on like the chat bots and that response, but it's also kind of synthesizing all of your data. I think that for me is the more interesting part. Like in Breezeway, there's so much operational data and you can have great reports, but how do you extrapolate more things out of that? And I think that's actually where AI can be more creative and like helpful to the business, is giving you all these different slices of the business and helping you make better decisions about running the company. that's actually where we've built out from our PMS a big revenue dashboard, commercial dashboard, and our next project is to do the same thing and take all our Breezeway data, and so we can just like play with it. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, it's amazing. And then when you marry the two together,
Yeah.
it's going to be so powerful.
Yeah.
I think this is an industry that's copied a lot of hotel revenue management, but it's different, right?
Yeah.
Like here, the expense side of how you treat every different property when the properties are unique, when the owners have different motivations, it's really thinking about profitability and how you manage and marry that revenue data and the operations data. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. And I think with operations data, there are so many things, like you might not think that if you have a couple hours of overtime or you're paying a little bit too much for this product, that it doesn't matter too much. But if you have the data, you can see that all of these things are adding up over time. It should take 1 hour to clean this property, but in the last month, it's been taking them 2 hours. Like what's causing it allows you to kind of catch these things that can snowball into really big problems before they become big problems. So that's why I love it.
Yeah, I think there's that's one of the reasons why we're excited about the Airbnb reviews that we pull in.
Oh yeah, we are also really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really powerful. It's like, this is the first step in what we want to try and do to say like, okay, the byproduct of really good operations is delivering to the guests and having a great guest experience. And like, how do you measure that? It's all about the reviews and what you get and the scores that you get from guests, from internal scores and external reviews, and then tying that back to your operations, understanding where you could be stressed.
Yeah.
Like, are you doing too many back-to-backs? Did you not staff up enough to handle those back-to-backs? And seeing where you could you're going to get dinged for that, and who the best people are, trying to figure out and look at that operational data. I'm pretty excited about this, like what we can do next here, where you can think about like, who are my best people?
Yeah.
Who does it best? Who does it effectively? Who does it fast? How much am I paying them? Like, what's their utilization? So I can really understand where my opportunities in the business are.
Well, I also think, especially when you're dealing with the human side of things, there's always an excuse. There's always a reason for why things are or not happening. But if you can come back with like all the data, it's like the facts are the facts. And you're like, so you can really make, all the anecdotes aren't clouding your judgment. And so we've talked about the Airbnb reviews and Breezeway Assist. Are there any other fun things that you guys have coming up that you can talk about?
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. I think we've got all the sort of pillars of our operations platform sort of laid out now. And now there's some really interesting things we're doing to tie it together. Like, I'm excited about the next layer of scheduling that we can add in, where like we can really start to look at where your properties are, how you're thinking about staffing them, where you might be over, stressing one of your best teams, or who's getting too many jobs, who isn't getting so many jobs. I think many of our clients are still leaning on their director of operations to do a lot of that scheduling with our tools. By continuing to invest in that, there's a lot more we can do. So we're really excited about that.
I'm very excited about that. I've talked with Andrew and your product team about doing like capacity-based scheduling, because we've created like our own kind of calculator that we can then kind of feed into Breezeway. So I'm happy to beta test anything,
Yes.
throw that my way. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I think that one's really cool. We had like an early version of like user availability and user capacity, and it was okay. But now that we've really added more to the auto scheduling and the way that can happen, we think we can really supercharge that. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about payments, which won't be applicable to all of our clients, but we know that there are a lot of managers who work with external service providers, and a number of them, and getting invoices and then paying your people and getting that turned into an invoice where you can pay people quickly and keep track of it can be really painful. So that's coming out in the next 2 months, which is pretty exciting. And then a few other things. So we'll keep some
TBD.
TBD, yeah.
Back on the future. Not to bring it back to the data really quick, I heard you were on the data or STR data lab with Jamie Lane with AirDNA. And so when it comes to data overall, I think it's underestimated on how, I think we all have data at our fingertips, but we never have really know how to use it. So when it comes to kind of like that episode that you were talking with Jamie, can you give us any sneak peeks, any little data nuggets for all the data nerds out there?
Yeah, I think one of the things we talked about was about quality and sort of how you measure that. We talked about Airbnb reviews and sort of like not just Airbnb reviews, but internal ratings and how you can use that operationally. And we did touch on this theme of like profitability and like using operational data to understand who are the really good owners, what are the bright spots in your inventory, where are the areas you really need to work on, and then using data to help you manage those conversations, because it's not easy with owners.
No, and that's the operations is obviously like the biggest cost center usually of the business. And so having clear data on that is so important. Like you can correct one little mistake and save tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a year. So having really clear insights into that part of the business is so important. And I think it's the part that's the most convoluted sometimes. So having a system that really kind of separates and helps you make sense of everything is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think also, leaning in on each property and then we're probably going to head deeper and deeper into the guest experience, upsells, and like how you can leverage data at the best time to send those offers to people. I think that's really interesting too.
Well, again, any beta testing, you know who to call.
You're on.
Yeah.
We're going to take you up on it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on, and thank you for letting us commandeer your booth for a little bit.
I love it. Thanks for having me. It's great. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen that are walking around a VRMA, I'm Will Slickers, co-host of GMH.
And I'm Brandy Canali, also co-host of GMH.
And we have the lovely Annie Schnaubelt.
Very good.
Yes. All right. I knew I was going to butcher it.
That's
so
right.
You're welcome. Podcast hosting fear number one is last name butchering. So super sorry about that. Annie, welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you. And as we've been hearing about your business, I want to kind of just dive right in. Tell us 30-second scoop. What does your market look like, and what does your office and overall operation kind of represent?
Yeah, we we're based in Lake Tahoe. We have about 100 properties in North Shore and South Shore, 2 states, 4 counties. And there's birds overhead. We have a lot of regulations in our destination. And so we're really struggling to kind of redefine ourselves, kind of stepping out of the box and doing longer stays that we didn't do before. And so the last year has been very different, and we've had to get innovative. So
yeah, the regulations always throw some little hurdles our way. And so you have a very interesting origin story. So can you tell us a little bit about your company and how you got started and what it means to VRMA, where we are right now?
Yeah, so my parents, Melinda and Jim Morris, they started our company back in 1979. And back in about the 90s, they got a PMS system when computers were just being invented. And their programmer had a user conference, and the user conference turned into this. We hosted it in Lake Tahoe the third year. I think we had 30 people there, and the programmer started to invite vendors, and it just grew and grew. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to be part of it and see where it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing from a 30-person conference that's just kind of thrown together to be about your software. That's a really incredible legacy that you have. And so you guys have been using Breezeway. How is that helping your operations now that you've started using them?
We started using Breezeway with just the messaging platform because our communications got to be a little overwhelming back in 2019-ish. And then, of course, it helped us do a lot of automated messaging. We had to use them through our destination had a fire. Okay, yeah. It was very helpful, messaging through COVID, messaging through the fire. We had a big snow year last year. So just that messaging tool gave us a lot of free time to do other things and be more efficient. And then about 3 weeks ago, we started using the Breezeway Assist program, and that's been huge for us too.
So I was just going to ask you about that because I get to see and talk, and we get to actually see and talk with a lot of AI companies. And I know Breezeway uses AI, but what does the Assist program actually look like? It's not like ChatGPT-4 where it's like a autoresponder. It's actual people.
It's actual people. The onboarding was really awesome. They sent us emails with a lot of questions about our business practices and kind of what we do. And they do have access to our systems, so they know if anyone calls with a specific question about functionality of a thermostat or even a breaker box, like the power goes out, or the Wi-Fi codes.
Yeah.
They have the access to our data. They can message back the guests. We use it from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. So we're able to cut our office hours. We're happy with the pricing. Yeah, it's a seamless, it gives our guests a seamless experience when they have questions. And if they don't know the answer, because we haven't provided it to them, they immediately answer back and say, they'll get back to you in the morning. And if it's an emergency call, they'll call our manager on duty. But everybody's sleeping better because they're not getting called for a Wi-Fi code.
Yeah.
So all the managers are super happy about it. And every morning we can go in and we can look and see what the interaction has been on the dashboard. And so we know how we're being represented to our guests.
I was going to say, it sounds like for any, managers who are listening or watching this video right now, they're probably like, man, I have to be really organized in order to have that program. What would be your number one advice for anyone who's trying to take on, or alleviate their office hours and their staff hours and the labor that goes into the 24/7 business that we're in, right? Like you're able to go from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. without having one employee on duty outside of a manager on duty. So that sounds like a very organized system and business. Would you have any piece of advice to get to that stage?
I trust Breezeway, and every product they've had has been exceptional. I think they have some pretty genius people on their team. So we're always super happy with what they have given us. And when they explained that, the assist program to us, and we were having some issues with staffing because nobody wants to work nights, it just allowed us to really have the freedom. And we trust that they're telling our guests what they need to know and letting us relax a little bit. And it's only as good. They were even saying the launching part of it, like we didn't have all the data initially to launch. Like we had to give them more information, and they said, it'll grow as you use it. It will grow, and they'll be able to put more into it. So it's good.
Yeah, I also love Breezeway. We're big Breezeway fans at Romy, and that I think like a project like this, when you're kind of forced to give like, okay, let's make sure we have all of our SOPs actually done. Like they're gonna follow this like word for word, and like I think that's a really great push to get you to do things maybe you've been putting off. We've kind of gone through some of those things where you're like, well, we have to get this done. So, it's kind of a good little push to do that.
Certainly we did a lot of data cleanup, big time. And I feel that we're in such a better place now too.
Yeah, that's amazing. So my final question for you, probably the most important.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Lake Tahoe ski mountain?
Heavenly Valley.
Yes, I was just there last year. Had such a great time.
Yeah.
We got like 2 feet in 1 day. I have I grew up in the Northeast. I have never seen that much snow at one time. It was wild.
Last winter was huge for us.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite ski area.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to meet you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Wicks, the one and only.
Hello.
Good to see you again, my friend. You finally get to meet the one and only Brandy Canale.
I was saying, I know people through screens all the time. I've seen you on LinkedIn, just watch the Good Morning Hospitality all the time. Big fan.
He's a watcher, not a listener. So
I'm a watcher. Yeah, on video.
I love that.
Yes.
Jonathan, let's cover some quick high-level stuff. Well and good. Give us a 30-second spiel. What do you guys cover? I know that we got to chat, talk, whatever, on Slick Talk, and covering your story, covering your industry in the sense of service-based, like focus in short-term rentals. Let's give the listeners a quick high-level overview for you.
Yeah. So Well and Good Professional Services is a full-scale servicing company. We do everything on the turnover side, bundling 3 core services: the professional cleaning, the linens and the laundry, and then all the guest essentials. So we supply those necessary components, and we execute on the turnovers fully. So we partner with managers or hosts that are doing their side of booking the guests and making sure the guest experience is amazing, and we take care of that on-site turnover process.
And as an operator, like those are some of the most difficult and stressful components of the business. And so you have this focus on kind of operations, the human capital side. So kind of how do you go about organizing that? Who are your good partners?
Yeah, so we are a human forward company, and a lot of people in our organization that work in the field each day, as well as in our company representative support. And we're reliant on the partners that we work with. And one of them is Breezeway, where they automate all of our tasks. We work with so many different managers that use different property management softwares. And it's nice to be able to consolidate all of those through Breezeway. And that side of working with tech providers allows us to stay on the human side and to work with our professionals being very culture forward in the work that we're doing in the field.
Yeah, well, I think there's kind of this, tendency to want to build your own tech, and
Right.
that's the kind of a shiny object off in the distance.
Everybody
So
wants to be a tech company.
I know, but I commend you for being like, this is what our core focus
Yes.
is, and that's what we're good at. We're going to stay true to that.
Focus is everything, and that's something that this industry is learning as it expands and becomes a big part of modern travel. We can't have one size fits all solutions. There is a need for focus and a need for excellence within that focus. And so we've said that on-site people servicing that is needed to happen each time, we're going to own that and obsess over that side. And we hope and expect that our partners on the tech side or on the management side are obsessing and excelling at their side as well.
Yeah, I think it's fun when you're in a position like you're in where you have these great partners like Breezeway. You can kind of almost help influence the product map a little bit, because you're using it not just for one management company, but across many. So you really see all the different use cases for the product. You are in it. And I think that is a really great position to be in, because you can kind of get your tweaks added.
And there's not been a company who has scaled a full scale servicing company yet. So we're kind of in uncharted territory where some of the tech is working to adapt to a larger servicing company that works with multiple clients and things. And no doubt, this is a lane that we're forming, and it's great to have partners who are kind of helping adapt some of their products are to fit the role that we're filling.
Yeah. Well, you must be doing a good job, because you've won an award here.
We won an award.
Congratulations, Housekeeper of the Year. Is that correct?
The Excellence Award for Housekeeper of the Year. Awesome honor. This was something that, it's one of those one person walks up and accepts the award, of course, but my gosh, I told our whole team about this. Like, it is about the work that every one of our professionals do every day. We make guest ready homes, and it's hard work. Like, that's just, there's nothing harder in terms of the physical work than getting the home ready for the next guest. And to be honored as the Housekeeper of the Year was an awesome honor, and super proud to have won that on behalf of the team that we
Yeah, you're so right. The housekeepers really are like providing the service, like that is the backbone of the company. So I'm so happy that you guys were recognized for that, because it is really, it's a laborious job. So
and it's often the nameless and the faceless people among our industry. They don't get the recognition. Folks like this are working a lot of times. They only hear about the negative. They hear about when there's a problem. They hear about when it's not cleaned right. And we've always wanted to shout out the good with our teammates that are doing great, but to see it on a national industry level recognition is really awesome to them. Yeah.
Well, that's why I love, for all the people watching the video version, the and symbol on your shirt. It's not a or mentality, it's an and mentality.
It includes everyone. There can be a win for every group of professionals within our industry. It is not just a win for the tech groups or for the managers or for the servicers. I think that each group can have that and mentality, and we can make sure there's wins for everybody. And that's been our goal, is to try to bring the wins for the servicers, for the people that are doing the work in the field. No one deserves it more. There's no question.
Well, it's funny because when we did our first interview together, you guys have been operating pretty, I would say, quietly. I finally just got to meet you this year and was like, dude, I had never heard of Well and Good, and to see that you guys have been putting in the work first and not just coming out guns blazing, let's get media, let's do this, without having the operations dialed in, it just speaks volumes. And so I'm curious with the current landscape that we're in of quality versus quantity. I think a lot of people used to be like attending VRMA and wanting to be like, how many doors do you have? What's your unit count, right?
Or how many markets is
exactly. Like, we're a very vanity metric focused industry sometimes. Now I feel like the conversation is really shifting to where like Well and Good is so well positioned. So where do you guys see that like balance of like, scale is important, but quality is even more important?
I think we're going to continue scaling like a service company, which means we need to continue growth. Growth is a big part of our agenda as a company, but it is sustainable growth. And that means that we are not going to, just simply turn a switch and be active in every market in the country. That'd be impossible. We partner with local managers to be able to grow our footprint nationally. And that's going to be how we continue. I don't think we can be obsessed with any particular type of growth, especially logistical. We want to be obsessed with the quality type of growth. Like that is what happens when right now with our partnerships that we have with managers. I'm super excited about the growth. 2024, we were only in 3 markets last year at this time, and we're in 13 now. And so I don't know how much faster we can go as a servicer company. But we're on a trajectory. To
33 markets next year.
33. It's possible. I mean, I think we will go as long as our service can remain the excellent service that it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what our team is obsessed over, is continuing the excellence. They know the growth is coming. They're excited about the growth too. Even folks that maybe are housekeepers in Scottsdale, they know that what they're doing is creating a roadmap for folks that are in other cities that don't yet have Well and Good, but they know it's helped them in their life, and they want to literally forge the trail for folks that are outside of their market. So yeah, it's a collaborative effort on the growth side.
There's a quote from another podcast I was listening to, and it's all about founderism, right? And there's 4 things founders need to focus on, or CEOs, right? It's the culture, the vision, hiring and firing managers and leadership, and also making sure that allocated profit is being properly reinvested, right? So what would you say for any property managers that are wanting to focus on like quality versus quantity range? Like when those 4 pillars kind of come to mind, what would you say like to them? Like, what's the number one for you, and how does that make a ripple effect decision-making in the company?
I mean, we first and foremost, we invest in our people. I mean, like, that's the thing. We don't do a ton of marketing. You've seen that. Like, it's me basically, and we don't do a ton of tech investments, things like that. I think that we invest in our people first and foremost, and that is like the basis of it. So you mentioned, where the money is spent. We want to spend our money on our most valuable asset, which are our teammates, and growing internally. Like, there's so many people that have come in at one phase of our company and grown their way up to leadership, and our leadership comes from within, and that's where our focus is investing in the people. Yeah.
I absolutely love that, because it really is all about the people. And like, we talk a lot about like shiny distractions.
Yes.
And I think that especially when you come to a conference, maybe you hear an idea, you're like, that can be this maybe big, crazy distraction, but focusing on the core and focusing on the people. And I absolutely love like providing someone starts as a housekeeper, but they can see the upward mobility of like, if I work hard, if I stay with the company, I can be in this managerial position, this leadership position. That is so fantastic. And it builds that loyalty, which also provides a better service for your clients.
We've seen both sides. We've seen housekeepers come and have these incredible talents of leadership and management, and they have just rocketed up our company. We've also seen housekeepers who love housekeeping, and they get to be completely content and fulfilled within their role, because just because you may not be moving into a different role does not mean you're not progressing in your career. And our housekeepers get better every day, not even having to change roles, but they know that they're being seen, they're being respected. They're literally paving the way for the best level of servicing that our industry's seen. So there's mobility for our folks to move up even to a different role, or to just be even better at their current one.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like a great place to work.
Yeah, it is a great place to work. Yeah, Well and Good professional services.
Yeah, I guess that all makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so great talking with you.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome. Appreciate you guys. I'm a big fan. Like I said, big fan.
Thank you.
Thank you.